Welcome to my networking service. My name is Micah. This is video number 4 of a 5-video series where I will be providing general information about what I do. In this video, I'm talking about ethical codes. So the very first thing I want to talk about is accreditation. So I'll do this one real quick. So when I was a counselor, that is a process that one would need to be licensed for. So I received a license from the state of Tennessee. It was in marriage and family therapy. I had that for a couple of years, the temporary license for a couple of years, the full license for a couple of years, so that I can function on my own. And then I fully retired from that because, like I shared in a previous video, it's not something I believe in anymore. So as far as networking is concerned, it's not something that really exists. The closest thing you can get to it is matchmaking, but I didn't like the feeling of matchmaking just because it's people telling you who to connect to and then they're taking responsibility for that and then you're paying these very high fees for that. I wanted this to be laid back, low cost. You're in charge of this process. So there is nothing that I have found in my research where there is networking services that are licensed by the state. So this is just to be very clear, and it's ethically sound for me to say I am not licensed to do this. This is of my own volition. I am deciding to do this. I'm wanting to do it my way. So I think it's more important just to share that. The second part of accreditation I want to talk about is with services and businesses. A lot of times there's certificates, there's training programs. You go through this private industrial process, and then you get a piece of paper and it says that you can do that service. You have been trained to do it. So I have created this from scratch, this whole process. So there's no certificate attached to it, associated with it. I think it's important to share that. I'm kind of doing things my own way anyways. So I think it's ethically sound, like I said, just to share that there is nobody vouching for what I do. And that is why I want people to trust what I do. And that's why I provide both the interview and the overview for free. That way you can have that experience. You can say, oh, it's not what I thought it was and I don't want to do it anymore. Or, hey, this is something cool and something that will work for me for a time or long term. So like I said, I think it's just appropriate just to say, hey, I'm not licensed to do this and I have no training certificates in the private industry for business. So that's my status on accreditation. I'm just kind of doing this because I want to do it and I'm charging a certain amount of money, which I'll talk about in the 5th video. So second thing I want to talk about is privacy. So I want this to be a confidential experience. I want this to be an experience where somebody can interact with me. And if you've got personal connections that you're trying to get out of, or maybe you're just adding more connections to the connections you already have, or maybe there's nobody in your life currently and you don't want anybody to know that, I want this experience to be private. So the video chat interview, that's going to be private as far as I can control. Like, you never know who's watching these video feeds, but as far as I have influence over, nobody's watching from my side. I'm recording, but then I'm putting those recordings in an offline database, and the only people that are watching that video are ones that have also participated in the service. I'm not letting those people record the videos. I'm discouraging them from talking about what they've seen in the pool. So that's another thing that I can only control so far, but at least I'm not allowing people to video it and put it out there on the internet. I do what I can to limit for privacy reasons, but I think that's important, and I'm going to try to get other people to respect that. And so ethically, I'm just sharing, hey, I'm going to do as much as I can to keep this information private that you're sharing with me. But then also, you're having to share some private things just so that other people can connect to what you're going through. So it's a little bit of a balance or some sacrifice in there. But so there's 2 reasons that will kind of break that confidentiality. And this comes from my experience as a therapist. It's something I want to pull into this work because I think it's just as important. So threatening people's lives is the first reason to break that privacy. So whether you're connected to someone that's working with me and you're threatening my life, or you're threatening someone else's life that's in the pool, or you're threatening the life of the person that you're connected to, I don't have any patience with that. So I will dissociate from the person I'm working with if that person is the one that's threatening lives, and then if it's certain enough, I will report it. So if it's I will do this, that's a reportable offense. And then if it's just like, hey, if it's just like someone's just saying it, hey, I want to kill that person. Like some people say it like just because they're frustrated or they're upset, or there's other reasons. But ideally, I will kind of be able to sense out like, hey, this person's actually going to do this and they're very certain, or they're just kind of expressing themselves. So, and it's okay to talk about that during their interview process. Like if that's a part of what helps people connect to you, I don't want to be overly reactive to that, but at the same time, I don't want to entertain something that's just going to keep building and escalating until someone's life is actually threatened. So that's the first important part to talking about privacy. So uh, and then as I transition to the next part, you can let me know when to take a video down at any point. I will take it out of the pool. All you have to do is ask me. And if I feel like a video needs to be taken down because it's promoting a lot of this stuff, I will also do the same thing. I want to be able to get people to express themselves as much as they want to for the connection's sake. But if it's just like creating a whole community around hurting other people, I'm probably just going to take a video like that down. So the second part is those that are threatening their own lives. So if you come into the service and you're like, hey, I'm questioning my life, but I want that to be an outlet for other people to connect to me, like I said, that's fine. But if it's escalating, it's getting worse, you're looking at people, nobody wants to connect to you, or they're connecting to you and it's just the timing's off and then they're connecting to somebody else. The same stuff you kind of deal with in the real world, if it starts happening here, and then I see that questioning your life is escalating, of course I'm going to recommend something like therapy, but then to some extent I wouldn't even recommend that for myself. So it's kind of a balance. It's just kind of like a scapegoat, I guess, of like, hey, go to a therapist, medication, diagnosis, all that stuff. I'm trying to do the thing that would help that kind of experience, but if it's bad enough, then I also have to turf it just for the sake of me, for the people I'm working with. I don't want it to affect everybody, and so I'm going to be very careful with that. But like I said, I don't want to entertain it either. I don't want someone ending their life just because of my service. It's not worth that. Your life it matters more than what I'm doing. So just to let you know that I am cautious about that. It's ethically to talk about, hey, these are the situations where I'll report or break privacy or take videos down. Like I said, you can take a video down at any point. Just send me an email and just say, hey, I want that out of the pool. So next thing I want to talk about is my availability. So with my previous business, I was not able to get a full work week and get the finances from it to sustain myself, my livelihood. So I had to get the regular job, the minimum wage, working in food service. It's better than most, but it's hard work. It takes 40 hours. It takes my energy, it takes my time. So I am employed and that affects my availability. So that makes me inflexible. It means my times to meet for interviews, overviews is going to be here and there. It's going to be random days. The days might change. So I like to get to the point where I can do this full time. Of course, that's the goal. But in the meantime, just to let people know, as I'm starting this, as I'm filming this video, there is some inflexibility there just because I am working just the 9 to 5 job. It's not 9 to 5, but the minimum wage job. So the second thing that's going to affect my availability is enjoyment. So I'm going to have to cope more because I don't get to do what I want to do. I think the average person kind of understands that. And so whether that's, I'm the kind of person that likes a lot of me time, but then also I like enjoying people too. So that's going to be a portion of my time outside of my 40-hour work week where, hey, I just want time to break away from what I'm doing, even this. So if I get to do more of this, I will need less time for personal enjoyment because this is personally satisfying to me. It's just because I'm working that 40-hour work week that I have to cope with that with personal enjoyment. So all that brings in inflexibility in this. It means that when we can meet for interviews, overviews is going to be inflexible, like I said. So that's where my availability is at right now. So the last thing to ethically talk about is relationships. So everywhere I go, I develop personal relationships. I think that's just natural. It's just being human. So I think it's ethical to talk about the difference between professional relationships and personal relationships, what those look like, how we go about kind of maintaining a connection, long term, short term connections that come and go. So, professional relationships are those that are supporting what I'm doing in this work, in this service. So, this will all be talked about in video number 5. I'll talk about my setbacks and how you can support me moving forward, how you can help me be successful, help me move out of that employment that I'm in. And so, just really briefly, I was just going to say, watch that 5th video and you'll know how to support me professionally speaking. So, what I'm going to do with personal connections. So, there are connections when I was a therapist that, I mean, just like any area of life, where I worked, where I went to school, the people I met just randomly through people, those connections, of course, were safe, they were fair, they were free game, however I want to say that. When it comes to this, and when I was a therapist, I had to be extremely cautious because there's that power dynamic, and then that's not what they're visiting me for. That's not what they're paying me for. So I did connect to several people personally, but I never pursued it. I tried my best to not let them pursue me, but I wasn't always the best at that. There were some boundaries I'm proud that I kept, but moving forward, I'm admitting to, like, there's a human element of this still. I'm still a human being. I'm still open to new connections. And so the best thing I can do, the most ethically sound I can do, I think, is to create my own interviews for myself. And with these videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in a separate place. That way that there's not a competitive conflict of interest where you're coming to see me professionally and then I'm like, hey, I have these personal videos too. I think that's not ethical. And so if you spend time with me and you feel connected to me, and that's a connection that we want to maintain, that we mutually choose to do so, then I would encourage you to watch my videos, which there will be a information drop down box down below at the bottom of my webpage. And so that way you can watch those videos and you can just bring it up in a conversation. You can send me an email, or maybe just as we're doing an interview or an overview, you just say, hey, I want to see your videos, or I feel connected to you. Can I learn more about you? And that way that opens up the personal connection conversation. And so that feels more like it's going against the conflict of interest because it is separate. And then you're coming to see me professionally. And then if the personal stuff happens, that's fine. But I'm not pursuing it. I'm not pushing it. I'm not pressuring it. I'm not being possessive over people. I want people that work with me to be able to ebb and flow with me professionally and personally if they choose to do so. I want that to feel very mature. We are adults, hypothetically, but a lot of this stuff, it kind of can get messy. So from my side, I put a lot of effort into being like, hey, we've had a personal connection, but now you're looking for something new. Or, hey, we're just working professionally and the personal connection is not there. So ethically sound just to talk about that. I think it's professionally appropriate. So that's it for this video. To learn more about my theoretical concepts, just my personal experiences and how you can support me professionally, watch the next video in this series. Other than that, hope to work with you soon.